Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to leave you, to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do this to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you." When Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. So the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the woman said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Call me no longer Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me." This is the word of the Lord.
Since Easter, we have been looking at different resurrection stories, inviting us to think about what it means to us. Today, I want to invite us to revisit one of those briefly that speaks to today's scripture. After the resurrection, some of the disciples were walking along the road to Emmaus. Jesus starts walking with them, but they did not recognize him. He starts talking to them, but they didn't recognize him, even though he was right there with them all along. They're not the only ones who've had an experience of God's presence with them all along. Somewhere along the way, someone was looking back on their life. They looked at the footprints they had left behind and wrote a poem about it. They saw two sets for most of their life. During the hardest moments, there was only one. The writer of the story asks, "Lord, where were you when times were hardest?" And the Lord answered, "I would never abandon you. That's when I was carrying you." Some of you can't believe I just quoted footprints in a sermon. Some of you are rolling your eyes going, "Really, Lee? We've read that on greeting cards, on napkins. We've seen it on pillows. We've seen it on large pictures of Jesus. We've seen it cut out and sold in so many ways." Yes, the poem can be found in books, cards, napkins, anywhere someone might print it. Or license it to be used. This is where the poem gets interesting. 4 different authors have claimed ownership of the Footprints poem and all filed copyright on it. All claim to have written it. All have a story about what inspired it. Some of them are dramatically longer than other stories. Some are more concise, but they all can tell you what inspired it, when it happened, and how they wrote it. One researcher, trying to discern where the story really came from, the true history of the poem, suggested that maybe God appeared to more than one person in the same way. This did not solve the dispute. No. These licensors of the footprints, these writers of deep spiritual depth, no, that doesn't solve it at all. They all still swear it's their work. Some of them are still alive. Some will actually send letters of complaint should you use it in a public venue without permission. One will even send you the copy of the polygraph test he took, proving himself as the author. Maybe the authorship is simpler than people all having the same vision. Maybe the answer is less sinister than plagiarism. Maybe for as long as people have been people, people have missed things that should have been obvious. People have missed things that were right there. Maybe as long as anyone is known, God has been right beside us and we just couldn't see it. It was true on the Emmaus Road. Maybe as long as anyone can remember, God has been with us even when we have been distracted. In our pain, our struggle, our pride, anger, greed, grief, and and our sorrow, and we missed God. In our scripture today, we hear the powerful story of two women. The story starts with a family that leaves Bethlehem. The word Bethlehem literally translates as house of bread. There was a famine in the land. There was no bread in the house of bread. So a couple leaves, takes their sons, and moves to Moab, where the two sons take wives and start lives of their own. But not long after arriving, the sons die. The husband dies, and three widows face an unknown future, carrying an ununderstandable burden. For the time and culture where they lived, they were alone. The mother-in-law tells the young women, "Go home. You weren't married to my sons for that long. You're still young. Go back to your families and start anew." One does. Without guilt, without shame, she goes back to what is comfortable and known to her. One does not. She is bold in her solidarity with her mother-in-law. Ruth's words are powerful. They are profound. They're so powerful that straight people have been using them in weddings for years, missing the fact that it's a word between two women. Ruth stands with a grieving loved one. She stands amid her own grief. She looks to the future and imagines their sets of footprints walking together as they go, side by side. Her mother-in-law does not argue with her. Ruth seems to be influential. Doesn't mean her mother-in-law liked it. Doesn't mean the mother-in-law wanted her to go. Doesn't mean she even understood Ruth's choice. But they moved to Bethlehem together. They go to the place where Ruth's mother-in-law has family. And when they arrive, much has changed. Despite the familiar place, despite the presence of extended family, despite there being bread once again in the house of bread, despite the loyalty and support of what now has become this chosen family, her old name is gone. I've been calling her the mother-in-law because she said, "Don't call me that anymore. Call me Mara." In bitterness. Her words are hard, yet just as powerful and profound as Ruth's. This is what she is. This is who she is in this time and place. It may have been comforting to have Ruth along with her on the journey, but Mara is still bitter. It may have been a blessing to have the commitment from such a companion, but Mara is still bitter. It may have been life-saving for her in the midst of all the transitions, but Mara's still bitter. It doesn't matter. The loss was too great, the hurt too deep. She could not see the good. She could not see anything more than what was lacking. And she looks at the emptiness around her, the emptiness inside herself, and she calls it God. God is treating me bitterly. I am bitter because of God. All she could see is what God had taken, how God had abandoned her, how God had left her, and there was nothing but the emptiness to define her. Maybe you felt it too. Maybe you've lived it. Maybe you've had the world turn upside down, and the places that were supposed to feed you were empty. Maybe the places that were supposed to protect you turned you out. Maybe your world has turned upside down. People who were supposed to hold you were missing. Those who were supposed to love you were gone. Or worse, failed to show. A chasm in the heart. companion in the soul. Maybe you blamed yourself, maybe you blamed others, maybe you just looked into the emptiness and called it God. As we enter Mental Health Awareness Month, it's important to remember we are not alone. Even in the emptiness, we are not alone. We are not the first to enter it. We will not be the last. It's important to remember that the feelings we face are not new, even if they are to us. While we might have variants, famine, climate change, natural disasters, these things that affect us, that can pummel people's lives, are not new. While we might have variants, loss, anger, loneliness, and sorrow are not new, even if they are to us. Wondering who we are in a tragedy, wondering where we are in the midst of chaos, wondering where God is when we feel all alone. These are not new experiences to the people of our world, and we are not alone as we navigate the journey. Others have been there too. Others are still there, some in their own struggle, others coming alongside us to accompany us in our work. We are not alone. God is still with us. God is beside us, behind us, beyond us, and within us. We're not alone. God is breathing, crying, beating in our hearts, screaming out, shedding tears with us. We are not alone. God sits with us through friends who show up. God goes with us through people who refuse to be pushed away, who say, where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. You're buried, I'll be buried. God walks alongside us through family, friends, therapists, communities, songs, poems, ancient wisdom, through Scripture. We are not alone. It can be hard to convince ourselves. It can be hard. Sometimes we need to take some time to just be bitter. It's where we are. It's who we are in that moment. Sometimes we need to take time just to be tired. Just to be done and tired and stop. Sometimes we need to take time for whatever. Whatever it is we need, no matter how the world might judge it. We can scoff at the help we swear we don't need. We can dismiss the love we swear won't change a thing. We can clench our fists and swear at God, but eventually things change. Things change. Life rolls on. Love plants seeds, and God remains. The book of Ruth ends with a familiar face and a familiar name. By the end of the story, we get to meet Naomi again. Things have changed for her. She's now holding a child, a grandchild. She's hopeful about the future. The bitterness has faded. Not disappeared, but faded. It no longer defines her. The hurt has begun to heal. It no longer controls her. It's a part of her story. And where there was once an emptiness, Naomi now sees herself in a long line of ancestors. Those who came before her, those who will come after her. And as readers of the story, we see the layers even more deeply because we know that this story connects to David, who's born in Bethlehem in its home. We know it connects to Jesus, who's born there in its home. Bethlehem, throughout Naomi's ancestry, is a place of trauma and transformation a place where people find resilience and strength and also retreat to when they feel like the world is falling apart. It's the place they return to be counted and to welcome new life. A place where others gather around them and assure them they are not alone. The story ends with Naomi holding a child, but also seeing the world differently. She now sees herself as part of something. She now sees a full home. She now looks around herself and sees a family.